Hello students, welcome to this video. I know guys you are waiting so long for this video and believe me that I am also eager to present you this video. This is going to be the last video on the DC to DC buck converter, and after that we are going to start DC-DC boost converter. And if you have seen the videos of the buck converter, the boost converter explanation will be much simpler for you guys. So in today's video basically we will do the open loop simulation and then the closed loop simulation of the DC to DC buck converter. And before we actually went into the simulation part, I will explain you what is the meaning of the open loop system, what is the meaning of the closed loop system, and after the understanding of this open loop and closed loop system we will explore the simulation part. So let's start today's video. So students, when it comes to the open loop system, generally I give a simple example to my students, and that is of the ceiling fans. What we are actually doing in the ceiling fans in order to control the speed of the fan is basically changing the regulator. We are changing the speed of the fan by changing the regulator. Here what we are actually doing is we are giving the input manually, and by giving the manual input, the speed, the output of the fan is basically changing. So when we are having this kind of system, when the input is basically given manually, when the output is controlled manually, then this system is known as the open loop system. So in the DC to DC buck converter, first we know that the output voltage is controlled by the duty cycle. So that duty cycle we will give manually. Okay, in the open loop system the duty cycle we will give manually. In the previous video if you have seen that we have calculated the duty cycle for a particular input voltage and output voltage. So first of all we will take that criteria, we will apply the duty cycle and we will observe the output voltage. After that we will take some other criteria and again we will observe the output voltage, and from that we will understand the working of the DC to DC buck converter. So let's start the open loop simulation first and then we will go for the closed loop simulation.
Okay guys, so basically we want to start the MATLAB. So by double clicking on the MATLAB you can start the MATLAB. Once you open the MATLAB, something like this interface will come onto your screen, and if you want to know what is this interface and how to start with the MATLAB, don't worry guys, I have made the detailed video on the MATLAB. Here by clicking on the I button you can watch those videos and you can understand and learn about the MATLAB. So if you are familiar with the MATLAB, now let's start the MATLAB. And basically in the previous video we have started the basic programming on the DC to DC buck converter. So if you go to your selected folder you will find the script we have implemented in the previous video. Input parameters that we have taken is something like this. Input voltage we have taken 50 volt, output voltage we have taken 30. This is our desired output voltage. Switching frequency was 10,000. The power rating we have taken is 500 watt, and we have also considered that 10% losses are there, so our efficiency has become 90%. And by using these formulas that we have seen in the previous video, we have calculated the value of L and the resistance. So if you run this, the values that we will get about the duty cycle, that is around 54%, and the inductor is about the 0.01, so we can consider it as an 10 millihenry. Now we want to basically do the open loop simulation. So for going to the simulation you need to click on the home button, then click on the new. When you click on the new you need to select the Simulink model. Now it will take a while to open the Simulink model. So once the Simulink model has opened, first of all we will save this. So by pressing the Ctrl S button, we are going to save it as an DC to DC buck open. Okay, so we will save this. Now we want to take the components, or we can say we need to take the elements. So for that we will click on the Simulink library. So basically we need an IGBT switch, we need a diode, we need RLC components and an input voltage source. So once the Simulink library is open, I will click on the search item, and first of all I will take IGBT. So I will write IGBT, I will press the enter, and I will take this IGBT/diode, and by clicking the right button I will add this block to the model. And here by minimizing this, here you can observe that here we are having our IGBT switch. Then again I will go to the Simulink library. Now I want to take the diode, so I will write diode, press enter. I will take this diode, you need to also take this diode only. Okay, so we have a diode, we have a IGBT. Now I need the RLC components, so I will write RLC and here I will take series RLC branch. Okay, so I will take the series RLC branch. Now I want to have the DC voltage source, so DC voltage source I will write, and then I will take this DC voltage source. Now I will arrange all the things. This is my input voltage. After that I will have the switch, and what you need to do is you double click the IGBT. You just uncheck this measurement port because there is no necessity of having the measurement port. I will connect this DC voltage source to the IGBT. Then there will be the inductive filter, so I will take this RLC branch, I will copy and paste it. So this RLC branch I will use as an capacitive filter. I will press the Ctrl R button so it will get rotated. So here I will have my capacitor. I will connect this capacitor to this inductor, and then there is a IGBT, and here I will have the diode. Again I will press the Ctrl R button to rotate the diode. I will double click it on, and I will uncheck the measurement port as the same we have did in the IGBT, and basically we will connect all the things. So this is our DC to DC buck converter, as you can see. Now we need the load, so again I will click on the RLC branch, I will copy it, I will paste it. Okay, so again I will connect my load, something like this, and again I will convert this series RLC branch into the L, and the value of the L is 0.01, so I will keep that value, and I will convert this into the capacitor, and again I will take this 1100 microfarad, and here I will just select the resistive load, and we know that the value of the resistance is 1.8. We have got this value as you can see from this program only. Here you observe the resistance value is 1.8. So in the previous video we have calculated this value, so resistance value we will take 1.8. I guess only thing that we need to set is the input voltage. We will take this input voltage as an 50 volt. So this is our 50 volt input voltage. Everything is set up. Now only thing that is remaining is the duty cycle. For that I will take the pulse generator. Okay, I will take the pulse generator, I will grab this into the model, and I will connect this to this switch. Double click on the pulse generator. Amplitude I want to keep 1 only. The period, as you know that our switching frequency is 10,000, so the period will become 1 upon frequency, that means 1 upon 10,000. And what is the pulse width? Pulse width is basically your duty cycle. We have calculated that our pulse width is 0.54, that means 54% is our duty cycle. So this is how we will give the duty cycle. So here if you observe, this pulse generator is basically our manual input. By double clicking on it and by changing this duty cycle, we are manually changing the duty cycle, and that is why this simulation is becoming the open loop simulation. I hope you are getting my point. Now everything is set up, I just need to run it, but I again want to observe the output voltage, and for that I need to take the voltage measurement. So I will write the voltage measurement. I will take this voltage measurement. I want to measure the voltage across the load, so I will connect my voltage measurement across my load, and to see the waveform I need to take the scope. Okay, so I have considered the scope, will connect to the voltage measurement. I will double click on the scope because there are some settings I need to do. So once the scope is opened, I will click on the settings, and once the setting block is open, what I will do, I will go on the history and I will uncheck this data point limit. Okay, I don't want that only 5000 data points should be there, so that is why I will uncheck this. I will click on OK and I will close this. Now everything is set up, but when you click on the run button, one error will show, and this error is of the power guy. So basically you need to take the power guy whenever you are running the simulation. Power guy is basically providing the source for the simulation, so you need to consider this power guy. I will double click on this power guy. I will select the discrete mode, and I will change the sample time to the 1 microseconds. It will give me more accurate data. I want to run this simulation for, let us say, 1 second only. So now everything is set up, I just need to run it, and let us observe that what is the output voltage. So I will click on the run button, and it is getting compiling. As you can see over here, the simulation is compiling. Once the compilation has been done, it will be running. As you can see, 1531, and the simulation has completely run. So now the simulation has run. We have not get any errors. So I will double click on the scope and I will observe the waveforms. So I will maximize the scope. I will click on the auto scale button. So here if you observe, the output voltage that we are getting is around 26.6. We wanted to have the 30 output voltage, but as you have seen that we are getting the around 26 voltage. So what I will do is, again I will play with this duty cycle. Okay, so I will now have the duty cycle 50 only, and if I have the 50 duty cycle, 50% duty cycle, and then see what is the change that I'm getting into the simulation result. So again double clicking on the scope and auto scale. Now if you observe, my output voltage has further decreased. As it is further decreased, what I will do, I will increase the duty cycle more. Now I will keep it 60. I will click on the run button. Okay, and now let us see what is the output voltage. Okay, so now you can see it has increased. Okay, so this much amount of error you need to keep, because we are considering 10% loss. It is not that all time we are getting the 10% loss. It is something that we are considering, right? So for that you need to adjust the duty cycle, and again as you are adjusting the duty cycle, you are manually changing it. So here you can understand the simulation is the open loop simulation. For that I'll just give you one example, that if my input voltage for any kind of disturbance, if my input voltage is changed to, let us say, 40 volt, and I will play the run button, you will observe that the output voltage has also been changed. It is not remaining constant, right? So if any disturbance is coming to my system, it is also affecting the output voltage. As you can see, the output voltage first was about 29.5, now it has further decreased to 23.6 or 23.7. So whatever the disturbances I'm getting into the system, it is reflected onto the output, as this duty cycle is not correcting itself automatically, and that is why this simulation is becoming the open loop simulation. Now I want to convert this open loop simulation into the closed loop simulation, and before that let us understand what is the closed loop system.
Okay students, so now let us talk about the closed loop simulation. So first of all, let us understand what is the closed loop system. In the open loop system, the duty cycle is basically controlled manually. In the closed loop system, the duty cycle will be controlled automatically. It will be given by the controller itself. So first of all, let us understand what is the closed loop system. So here I will give you just a simple example. Let us take the example of a motor. Let us assume that you are having a motor and you want to control the speed of that motor. Basically the speed of the motor is controlled by regulating the voltage and the frequency. And for that we actually connect an inverter. So inverter basically takes care of the voltage and frequency. So let's focus on the block diagram. What we actually do is, we have the desired speed. What is our desired speed? Desired speed is the speed at which we want our motor to run, and we are having the actual speed. Actual speed is basically the speed of the motor. So what we will do first, we will take the desired speed and we will measure the actual speed, and the difference of the desired speed and the actual speed is basically known as the error. That error is basically given to the controller. Okay, so what this controller will do? Controller will generate the control signals in order to minimize this error. So controller is basically trained controller. It knows that how to minimize the error. So the control signals are basically signals for the inverter, right? As we have connected the inverter before the motor, so these control signals are basically signals for the inverter. So what it will tell to the inverter? The control signals will tell the inverter to have this much amount of voltage and this much amount of frequency, so that the motor can achieve the desired speed. And this is how we control the speed of the motor automatically. Let us assume the scenario in which the load has been increased. As the load has increased, the speed of the motor has decreased. So what will happen? The error will also increase. As the error is increased, controller will observe that again the error has increased. I have to give the command to the inverter so that my inverter take the corrective actions in order to minimize these errors. And this is how the closed loop system works, and this is the basic block diagram of the closed loop control system. Now we are going to implement this closed loop control into the DC to DC buck converter. So here we want to control the output voltage, and this output voltage is basically controlled by the duty cycle. Okay, so what we will do, We will measure the output voltage, we will deduct it from the desired output voltage, we will generate the error. This error we will give to the controller, and this controller will generate the desired duty cycle, and this duty cycle is given to the DC to DC buck converter. So this is the closed loop simulation for the DC to DC buck converter, and now we are going to implement this closed loop DC to DC buck converter simulation into the MATLAB. So let us go into the PC screen.
So welcome guys again to the screen. We have completed the open loop simulation and now we want to go for the closed loop simulation. So for that, what I will first do, I will remove this pulse generator. Okay, and I want to measure the output voltage and I want to deduct it from the desired voltage. So for that, for the desired voltage, I will take a constant block. Okay, and this constant block in which I will keep my desired voltage. Okay, so I am keeping 30 volt as my desired voltage. I want to have the I want to generate the error, and for that I need to take the sum block so that it can subtract the desired voltage from the actual voltage. As you can see, I am measuring the actual voltage and that has been deducted from the desired voltage, and for deduction I need to change the sign from plus to minus. So now the deduction has been done and the error is generated. I will just push this wire a little bit down so that I can have another components. Now I want to have the controller. In the MATLAB you need to select the PID controller. Okay, and what is the PID controller, on which I will definitely make a special video because it covers a lot of things, and to have the understanding of the PID controller in one single video becomes a very difficult task. So I will make a separate video on that, and if you want that video as early as possible, let me know into the comment section. Now this PI controller will give me the duty cycle, and from the duty cycle I want to generate the pulses. And to have the pulses, what I will do is I will take the repeating sequence. Okay, now repeating sequence will act as a triangular for me. Okay, and what I will do is I will compare this duty cycle and the repeating sequence, and from that I will generate the pulses. So basically the meaning is I will have the DC value, that is my duty cycle, that is, let's say 0.54, that is my duty cycle. So that is the DC value. It is been compared with the triangular waveform, that is of the frequency 10,000, and once this DC value is less than the triangular value, at that time I will get the pulse. So to have the pulse I will definitely take the relational operator. So I will write the relational operator and I will take the relational operator, and what I will do, this is my DC value that is coming from the PI controller, and this is my triangular value. I will double click on the repeating sequence and I will make it a little bit triangle. Time value I will keep 0, then 1 upon 10,000, as you know the frequency is 10,000, so 1 by f, and then 2 by f. Okay, so time value has been set up. Output value, at 0 I want 0, at 1 by f I want 1, and at 2 by f I want 0. So this is something like triangle. Okay, so now as you can see, the shape is something like the triangle. I will double click on the relational operator and I will make it greater than. So what is the logic? The logic is when the input 1 is my DC value, when the input 1 is greater than the input 2 is the triangular value, it will give me 1, right? When the input 1 is greater than the input 2, it will give me 1, and when it is not satisfied, it will generate the 0. Basically it will give me the pulses. Now these pulses I want to give to my IGBT. So for that I will take the from tag. Okay, so this from tag I will take and I will connect over here. So it is saying that the signal is coming from this relational operator, right? So the relational operator signal is go to here. I will take IGBT. Okay, basically you need to give some name, and this name should be common for go to tag and for the from tag. Okay, so here also I will keep it IGBT. So here whatever the pulses that I am generating will be sent to this IGBT, and simply I can connect a wire also, but it will make this simulation more complex and ugly. So that is why I am using this go to tag and from tag. Now everything is set up. as you know, my input voltage is 40, right? Resistance is 1.8, and I want 30 volt to be generated. Previously we have seen that when I have kept my voltage 40, the voltage that I am getting was around 22 or 24, right? I didn't get the 30 volt. Now the main part that is very much important when you are doing the closed loop simulation is the tuning of the controller. Believe me, this can be a very tricky task. It can take few days, few hours, some weeks also, some months also. When you are having more and more complex system, it can take few weeks or months also in order to tune this controller. There are few methods also available to tune this PI controller, but that are not that accurate. So basically the most accurate method that we are using is the trial and error method. So what you need to do is you need to double click on this PID controller. I will select the PI controller, and basically you need to select this P and I in such a way that it generates the duty cycle of your desire. You know that your input voltage is 40, output voltage is 30. So for that, what should be the duty cycle? That should be generated by the PI controller. So by varying this P and I, right, that desired duty cycle should get generated. Okay, so first of all, in the trial and error method, we will select the random values. We will observe what is my output voltage, and based on the error we will again change the P and I value, and this process is basically continuous process till the error hasn't become 0. So the best practice is to go on to the PID advanced. We know that our PID's output should be between the 0 and 1 because our duty cycle cannot be more than 1, right? We know that it should be between the 0 and 1. So the lower saturation limit I will keep it 0, and upper saturation will be 1. So what will happen if my PID is generating more than 1, the output will become 1. If my PID is generating less than 0, the output will become 0. Basically PID's output will be kept between 0 and 1. So I have set the saturation limit. Now I will go into the main section. Now the best practice is to keep the I 0 first and keep the P as less as possible. Let us keep it 0.1 only. Click on the OK button, and then let's run this and let's observe this. Okay, now it is running, and once it is run we will observe the output voltage, and based on the output voltage we will take some corrective actions. Okay, it is running, and it is almost done. Okay, so it is run. Let us observe the output voltage. Again, if you see, we are getting the output voltage around 23.7. okay, and for that, if you can understand, the error is of around 5 to 6. So there is a positive error. So what I will do is I will further increase the P section. Let us keep it 0.5. okay, let's click on the run button. Now observe what is the change we are getting in the output. Okay, I hope that this is enough time. Let us see the output voltage. Okay, so the error is coming down, right? It is 28.5. now in order to observe what is the error, I will basically take the display. Okay, I spelled it wrong. Okay, so I will consider this display. Why this display is important? Because it will tell me what is the output of my PI. Okay, again I will take this display and it will give me what is the value of the error. Now still we are getting some error, so further I will increase this proportional content. Let us keep it 0.9. okay, so for 0.9, now let's observe the value of the error. So here if you can observe, the error is 0.82 and it is remaining constant, and for that duty cycle it is around 0.74 we are getting. Okay, so the error is almost 0, we are getting 0.8 only. Now let us click on the stop button and see what is the output voltage. Yes, you can see the output voltage is 29.2 around, and that is why we are getting the 0.82. So once this is fixed, now we can further increase the I will basically give me, it will help me to reach to the output value as quickly as possible. So I will keep this one and I will click on the run button, and now let us see the error. As you can observe, the error has further decreased and quickly we have reached to the steady state zone. Let us stop, because if you observe now in the 0.3 seconds only we have stopped the simulation because we have reached to the steady state. Okay, and error is also reduced, it is around 29.4. so this is how you can play with the P and I section, and believe me, here we are getting the P and I values very easily. But sometimes when the system is very much complex, it can take months and days in order to get these accurate values. And now in order to further investigate this closed loop simulation, what I will do is I will take this input voltage 30, and for that 30, what is my duty cycle, because it should adjust the duty cycle in such a way that my error should remain around 0 only. So here you observe the PI controller has adjusted the duty cycle in such a way that error is becoming 0. That means that if we are getting some kind of disturbances, it will not affect on my system. My system will definitely keep on generating the constant values. Now I will click on the stop button and will observe the waveforms, right? Waveforms we are getting, that is 30 volts, and it is constant only. So that is what the closed loop simulation is, and I hope that from this video, from this simulation part, you are getting the things properly. Still, if you are having any kind of doubts in the simulation, if you are not understanding that why these blocks are there, what is the purpose of these blocks, definitely you can give your doubts into the comment section. I will definitely give you reply, and I will solve your doubts.
So that is what the video is all about. I hope you have enjoyed the video, you have gained something from the video, and if you have found something learnable, if you found something valuable, then please don't forget to hit a like, share and subscribe button. It means actually a lot to me. And also share your expressions in the comment section so that I get to know that if you guys are understanding or not. And also it will motivate me a lot in order to bring this kind of videos regularly. So I will meet you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep loving and keep supporting the channel. Thank you very much.